social media, which is a luxury unavailable to rap producer Scott Storch.
Wait, I thought that was Elon Musk for a minute there with sunglasses on. Thought he like dyed his hair a little bit or something. Dude, that's Elon Musk, I swear. Alright, boys, let's watch 10 rappers who got broke in the stupidest ways.
Bankruptcy, 50 Cent was spending $108,000 per month to rent an 18-bedroom mega mansion, while T-Pain's bankruptcy was so brutal that by the end of it, he had to borrow money just to buy Burger King. However, let's begin by talking about DMX, who had to file for bankruptcy on 3 separate occasions as he couldn't afford child support. You see, DMX had 17 children with 11 different women, and almost every child resulted in some kind of lawsuit or child support requirement. For example, DMX was sued for $1.5 million worth of child support in 2008 after a genetic test confirmed that he was the father of a previously unclaimed baby, which when combined with his declining music career resulted in his first bankruptcy filing. 4 years later in 2012, DMX was sued by a different ex-partner for a further $1 million worth of child support, and a year after this lawsuit he'd filed for bankruptcy a second time. His third bankruptcy would occur in 2016, during which it would be discovered that DMX had racked up a further $1.7 million worth of unpaid child and family support, which accompanied $950,000 in bank debt and $1.7 million worth of tax debt. Since he had $0 in his bank account, DMX was sentenced to 6 months in prison for the child support, a further year in prison for the unpaid taxes, and was also ordered to pay the government $2.29 million in restitution after he was released from his time behind bars. However, DMX never had the chance to pay the amount back in full, as he died in April 2021, and despite his extensive family tree, DMX never wrote a will, meaning that his family was still involved in money-related legal battles even after he was dead and buried.
Is that how it works? What, like his wife and stuff? Like, I don't know how old his oldest kids are, but they can't be that old, right? How old was DMX? 40? Probably like 40 or something?
Tiger was certainly better at managing his child support payments, although he definitely had a weakness when it came to luxury spending. After cultivating his career as a successful rapper, Tiger's name entered news headlines after he'd purchased a $200,000 Mercedes Maybach for his girlfriend, while being $480,000 behind in rental payments on a luxury Malibu home. As a result, Tiger was sued by his landlord, although he'd failed to show up to court as he was on holiday in Turks and Caicos. Yet this situation wasn't the only example of Tiger spending big in one area while being financially behind in another. What was his song that he was known for? For example, in 2016, while shopping for a new Bentley, Tiger's Ferrari 458 was repossessed in the parking lot as Tiger hadn't been paying for the loan. Despite this, Tiger would go on to purchase another Mercedes Maybach, as well as a Land Rover, a Rolls-Royce Ghost, and a Rolls-Royce Cullinan, all of which were repossessed for non-payment, while he was seen looking at a brand new Lamborghini. In addition to this, Tiger was...
It's just like, he's got all this money he owes, and he's just like buying cars every day. Oh my god, he buys like 4 Jeeps and looking up a Lambo.
Sued by a second landlord for $181,000 after once again missing rental payments in 2016, which was followed by a third property-related lawsuit in 2020, where Tiger had racked up over $200,000 in damages and unpaid rent on yet another rental property. It was then revealed that Tiger was being court-ordered to pay for $200,000 worth of unpaid jewelry, which accompanied the accusation by his ex-girlfriend Black China that
I had to give up 3 of my cars. My reasons, moral belief, being a single woman, no support, I'm a mum.
He'd been missing child support payments, and just to add a cherry on top of the cake, while all of this was going down, Tiger was in $890,000 worth of tax debt to the government. Despite all of this, Tiger is still seen flexing a lavish life on social media, which is a luxury unavailable to rap producer Scott Storch.
Wait, I thought that was Elon Musk for a minute there with sunglasses on. Thought he like dyed his hair a little bit or something. Dude, that's Elon Musk, I swear. I swear that's Elon Musk too.
life on social media, which is a luxury unavailable to rap producer Scott Storch, who blew through $70 million in less than 3 years.
Oh my
Scott had earned this money by producing for some of the biggest names in music, including Kanye West, Dr. Dre, and Jay-Z. Yet Scott Storch's insane net worth began to diminish after he'd purchased an insane supercar collection,
30 cars, including
Insane.
Bugattis and Ferraris and all that kind of stuff.
as well as a $10.5 million mansion.
Oh my, look at that, man. Jesus. I look at places like that and it just astounds me that someone owns it. You see them in like rap videos and stuff. You always assume just some giant business or corporation owns it. But like the fact that one person can own something like this,
Where he housed more than 20 staff, including a
blows my
boat
mind.
captain, just in case he wanted to go out on his yacht.
The captain was on full-time staff?
Yeah.
In case you want to take the boat out?
Yeah.
And the boat was how many bedrooms?
7,
7-bedroom boat, worth about how much?
20 million.
20 million.
Scott went on to explain just how much
Wait, he had
this
a captain on like full-time payroll just in case he wanted to go out on the boat. He's just fully employed like all the time.
lifestyle was costing him.
My monthly overhead for my household employees was somewhere in the neighborhood of $1 million a month I was spending.
And that if he
Oh
continued to work,
my
there wouldn't have been
God.
any problems, although this isn't what he would do.
It went from me working and delivering to
being on
doing
the boat.
drugs and not going to the studio.
I just stopped working, and then I got depressed and jaded.
As mentioned, Scott stopped making music and instead began to get addicted to the nightlife in Miami. And with no money coming in plus $1 million a month going out, it was only going to be so long before Scott hit zero. By 2009,
Yeah, you
just
can't
3
keep
years
that
after
up.
having a net worth of $70 million, Scott had filed for bankruptcy. 6 years later, Scott would file for bankruptcy a second time, claiming to have a grand total of $3,600 of assets to his name, $100 in cash, $500 in clothing, and a $3,000 watch. Most shocking, his music companies are valued at $0, and in 2014 he made a grand total of only $10,000. Throughout this hardship, Fat Joe was one of the only rappers to
I don't get how like you can have that much money but be that bad with spending without like having a like an idea about the future, you know? Just spend everything without anything coming in. And then you just end up with like $3,000. That's all you've got left is $3,000. Produce tracks for Aguilera, Timberlake, Beyonce. Yeah, like the biggest guys then, basically.
2014, he made a grand total of only $10,000. Throughout this hardship, Fat Joe was one of the
Jesus.
only rappers to keep their friendship with Scott, possibly because Fat Joe went through a similar situation
Lean
himself.
back.
Fat Joe had earned $1.18 million in 2007, $1.28 million in 2008, $265,000 in 2009, and $630,000 in 2010. However, despite having made this $3.3 million in only 4 years, Fat Joe failed to pay taxes on it. He was able to come up with $718,000 and had also done extensive charity work. However, this wasn't enough to satisfy the judge, who sentenced Fat Joe to 4 months in prison.
Yeah,
Despite taking
splash,
personal
true.
responsibility for his actions by stating, "There was a lot going on in the years that I didn't file my taxes, but it was my responsibility."
There's a
Less
lot of
than
that as well, I'm seeing, like people avoiding taxes and stuff.
4 years later, Fat Joe entered news headlines again after the IRS revealed that he still owed them $1.1 million in taxes. However, this number was absolutely nothing in comparison to Fat Joe's friend Lil Kim, who owed almost 4 times more and became,
Oh
quote,
my.
too poor to file for bankruptcy. Lil Kim wasn't nearly as successful as some of the other rappers featured on this list. However, this didn't
I
stop her
remember
from
that
purchasing
artist.
a $2.3 million mansion back in 2002,
Jesus.
notably with the help of a mortgage. Throughout the 2000s, Kim's music career slowed dramatically, and by 2018, Kim was filing for bankruptcy as she still owed the full $2 million on her property, despite the $6 16 years that had passed. In addition to this, Kim now owed $1.85 million to the government for 13 years worth of unpaid taxes, which accompanied a further $185,000 in unpaid legal fees. The bankruptcy became even worse after discovering that by 2018, Kim was earning a comparatively small $18,000 per month, of which $2,000 went to staff, another $2,000 went to clothing, and $10,000 went to travel fees, meaning she had less than $4,000 per month to dig herself out of $4 million worth of debt. Somehow Lil Kim
this
managed to
Resident
quote,
Evil
get her
music
finances
in the
into
back?
good shape, and her bankruptcy filing was dismissed. However, MC Hammer wasn't quite so lucky. Despite having the 5th best-selling hip-hop album of all time,
MC
which
Hammer?
sold 17 million copies and featured songs such as You Can't Touch This, MC Hammer wasn't able to stay out of financial trouble. He bought more than 17 luxury
Look at him, dude. That's a man that loves dancing
who
right
sold
there.
17 million copies and featured
Look
songs
at
such as
it,
You
look at
Can't
him.
Touch This. MC Hammer wasn't able to stay out of financial trouble. He
As
bought more
a
than
guy that
17
just
luxury
can't
cars,
stop
a private
dancing.
jet, 2 helicopters, and
Oh shit, 17 luxury cars, private jet,
21
two
racehorses.
choppers,
Some of the
21
horses were
racehorses.
valued at around $1 million.
Oh
Most
my
of his
God,
expenses,
this
however,
guy went insanely big on the spending. He was only a one-hit wonder, right? Can't Touch This? Maybe had one other track that was pretty popular, but I can't remember.
on his home. He bought a property in Fremont, California for $12 million and spent another $30 million on renovations to turn it into his dream home.
He went
He added
big.
a bowling alley, basketball court, baseball field, recording studio, movie theater, 17-car garage, tennis courts, and 2 swimming pools to the 40,000 square foot mansion. One of the pools was shaped like his signature baggy pants that came to be known as hammer pants. He added several
Even the swimming pool is shaped like his
marble
pants.
statues of himself throughout the property and installed a gold hot tub in
Wait,
his
he put statues of himself around? Gold hot tub in the bedroom? Oh my lord.
bedroom. And to keep everything running smoothly, he employed a staff of nearly 200 people on the property,
What?
which cost him an estimated $500,000 a month.
$500,000 out in wages a month to make sure those statues are clean.
Unsurprisingly, less than 5 years later, MC Hammer had filed for bankruptcy, at which point it had been revealed that he hadn't only spent his entire $70 million fortune, but had also taken on a further $13 million in loans, which had
my
been borrowed from
God.
over 200 different lending institutions.
Oh
Despite
my
having spent
God.
a total of $42 million on his California dream home, the property resold for only $6.5 million. However,
Wait, what?
California different lending institutions.
How much?
Despite having spent a total of $42 million on his California dream home, the property resold for only $6.5 million. However, if we're on the topic of
Sold for
expensive
like
homes
7
being repossessed by
times
the
less.
bank, we need to talk about Birdman, who's ranked as the 15th richest rapper in the world with a net worth of $110 million. But this is what makes Birdman's story unique. If he was worth over $100 million, why was his Miami mansion being repossessed by the bank for non-payment? Birdman had purchased the home back in 2012 for $14.5 million, yet by 2017 a foreclosure suit had been filed by the bank, and quote, all personal items within the home, including platinum records gracing the walls, a pool table, and dozens of pairs of shoes, were all confiscated and placed in storage. The mansion was eventually sold by the bank for $10.85 million in July 2020. However, Birdman's lawyer has come out to explain the foreclosure, stating that it was the result of illegal loan terms set by the bank, so perhaps take Birdman's bankruptcy with a grain of salt. However, there's no ambiguity around how T-Pain went broke, as he's now come on multiple podcasts to explain just how brutal his bankruptcy was. T-Pain had built up a net worth of over $40 million at his peak in 2007,
Is that the
with all of his
acapella
closest rap
type
friends
guy?
advising him that as long as he kept rapping, the money would keep on coming in.
Everybody before me that I had to look up to, they were just like, no, this is great. Once you start rapping, it's just money all the time. Nothing bad's ever gonna happen. Your family's not gonna come after you. Just rap, and it's just girls and swimming pools after this.
You
this
just get
reason,
that
his
money.
spending began to
Just
get out
rap
of
and get all the
control.
money,
I
you
bought
know?
my Bugatti.
He bought it for $2.1 million.
Oh,
$2.1 million.
Oh,
and then
shit.
very shortly thereafter, you sold it for, all they gave you was $800,000.
Yeah.
So it was like renting a car for $1.3 million.
Yeah.
With the purchase of his Bugatti accompanying a $400,000 chain and houses for his workmates.
I got this house I want to get. I got this other house for my assistants and, you know, all my runners and my producers and stuff. So we bought a house after that, and we just started going crazy with the money. I wasn't paying attention to it.
Which was extra bad as T-Pain never even checked in on how much money he had.
I didn't want to know.
Didn't even look what he's got or anything. Dude, these guys just, they're mental. Yeah, got my manager check all that, you know. He'll deal with all that sort of stuff. Gotta check what you're spending and earning, right? It's just like end up with nothing.
To
These
believe
people.
that this is just gonna,
They're
it's only
mental,
gonna grow.
man.
Because these rappers told me that I'm just gonna make money forever. It's just
Absolutely
gonna keep
mental.
going up and up.
In the process, T-Pain began to create less music, and within a few years, his accountant was advising him that he was almost out of money.
My accountant was like, dude, you're like out of money. And I was like, no, I'm not.
And while T-Pain seemed confident that he had plenty of cash left, reality set in for him after he'd have to borrow money just to buy food.
When you say you was broke, you had like $0 broke?
I like had to borrow money to get my kids Burger King.
What's the most you ever had in the bank at one time?
40 million.
However, T-Pain was lucky to get away with a loss of only 40 million, as the final person on our list makes this number look like loose change, 50 Cent. 50 didn't only release the 10th best-selling American hip-hop album of all time, but he also made over $100 million on a vitamin water investment, plus a further $78 million from a luxury underwear deal. In the late 2000s, 50 Cent made an estimated $300 million in only 2 years, so when he'd announced that he was filing for bankruptcy in mid-2015, with debts totaling over $32 million, the entire world was thinking the same thing.
Jesus.
How did this happen? Well,
yeah, how does it happen, man? These guys are like ultra rich, like, especially people like 50 Cent. They're some of the biggest rappers of all time, right? Same era as like Eminem and Dre, that sort of group. Everyone knows who 50 Cent is. Yeah, you spend so hard that you end up with nothing.
50 Cent uploaded a sex tape with Rick Ross's girlfriend. 50 was successfully sued for $7 million, which accompanied another court order for
I could even spend that much money.
Same thing. How did this happen? Well, after 50 Cent uploaded a sex tape with Rick Ross's girlfriend, 50 was successfully sued for $7 million, which accompanied another court order for 50 Cent to pay $17 million to a headphone manufacturer after one of their collabs went sour.
Wait, he uploaded a sex tape shagging someone else's missus? Oh my god.
50 Cent's clothing company G-Unit Clothing then fell out of the spotlight, which accompanied the closing of his movie company G-Unit Productions, as well as his boxing company SMS Promotions.
Jeez.
Throughout the whole process, the global financial crisis had taken a toll on the value of 50 Cent's investments, and by 2015 he was earning a comparatively small $185,000 per month. You could certainly argue that this was enough for 50 to get back on his feet. However, $108,000 of this monthly income was going toward an 18-bedroom mega mansion, while the remaining $77,000 was going toward menial expenses such as his gardener, with bankruptcy documents revealing that 50 Cent still owed money to his stylist, fitness coach, and even his barber. Despite this, he began to troll on social media with posts such as this one, spelling out the word broke with $100 bills, and within 2 years, 50 Cent had paid back $23 million worth of his $32 million debt. 50 Cent eventually got back to zero, and according to Google, has built up a net worth of $40 million over the last 5 years.
Oh my god, boys. Oh my god, these guys, they don't care, dude. They don't care, they just spend beyond their means. Most of it seems to be like legal issues that causes it though. Like kids and divorces and sex tapes with your partners, with someone else's partner. You can like the channel there, boys, if you like it. Sub Sunny V2, that guy makes good videos. We watched some over Christmas. So give him a like. It's mad. It's mad seeing how the other half live, man. But also the price they have to pay to live those kinds of lifestyles. Something we'll never know about. Thankfully.